The stars were cold and distant in the Helian sector, a forgotten corner of space where nothing of value existed. At least, that was what the Talvari believed. Their insectoid bodies moved with mechanical precision across the surface of Calros 9, a gray moon orbiting a dying red star. They had come here 3 months ago, after their scanners detected rich deposits of isotopes beneath the surface. These isotopes were rare, valuable, and most importantly, they could power weapons unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, Commander. Jiwan stood in the observation deck of the Horizon's Edge, watching the alien mining operation through the view screen. The human warship had been here for 21 days, hidden in the shadow of a nearby asteroid field. Its stealth systems were active, bending light and radiation around the hull. To any scanner, they were invisible. To the naked eye, they were just another piece of rock floating in the void. The Talvari had no idea they were being watched. Jiwan adjusted the controls, zooming in on the mining facility below. She could see hundreds of Talvari workers moving like ants across the lunar surface. But they were not alone. Among them were prisoners, members of another species called the Vrel. These prisoners wore no protective suits, just thin rags that offered no protection from the harsh environment. They were forced to work in the most dangerous areas where cave-ins were common. Still monitoring their communications? Captain Myray asked as she entered the observation deck. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had spent 15 years in space, most of it in combat zones along the outer rim, where human colonies pushed into unexplored territory. "Yes, Captain," Jiwan replied. "They're getting ready to ship the first batch of isotopes back to their homeworld. According to their transmissions, they plan to use it for something called Project Terminus." Myray frowned. Terminus. That doesn't sound good. It isn't, Jiwan said, pulling up a translation of the intercepted messages. From what I can piece together, they're building a weapon. Not just any weapon. Something that can destroy entire star systems. They plan to use it against the Vrel Dominion. The captain was silent for a moment, staring at the mining operation below. The Talvari and Vrel had been at war for over a century. It was a cold war, mostly with occasional skirmishes and border disputes. But if the Talvari built this weapon, everything would change. Billions would die, and the human colonies? Myray asked quietly. Right in the middle of the projected conflict zone, Jiwan confirmed. If they use this weapon, our people won't even know what hit them. We're too new to this part of space. The Talvari don't even know we exist. That was the problem. Humanity had only been exploring this sector for about 30 years. They had built a few colonies, established trade routes, and started mapping the region. But they had done it quietly, carefully. The policy was always the same. Observe first, make contact later. Learn about the aliens before revealing yourself. And now that policy was coming back to haunt them. Hyan Wu, the chief engineer, entered the observation deck carrying a datapad. He was younger than most of the senior officers, but his skill with technology was unmatched. Captain, I've been analyzing the Talvari ships in orbit. Their shields are strong, but they're designed to stop energy weapons. Lasers, plasma cannons, that sort of thing. And our weapons? Myray asked. Railguns and kinetic missiles, Wu said with a small smile. They won't know what hit them. Their shields might as well be paper. Myray nodded slowly. She had known this moment would come eventually. Humanity could not hide forever. Sooner or later, they would have to reveal themselves to the galaxy. The question was how and when. What do you recommend, Commander? Myray asked, turning to Jiwan. Jiwan had been expecting this question. She had spent the last 3 weeks thinking about it, running through scenarios in her mind. If we do nothing, millions of humans will die when the Talvari and Vrel go to war. If we reveal ourselves and try diplomacy, we might prevent the war, but we'll be exposed. Every species in the galaxy will know about us. And if we intervene directly? My ray pressed. Then we show them what humanity is capable of, Jiwan said. We disable their operation here, free the prisoners, and make it clear that this sector is under our protection. It's risky. It could start a war, but it might also save millions of lives. The captain walked to the view screen and placed her hand against the cold glass. Below, a Vril prisoner collapsed from exhaustion. A Talvari guard struck the prisoner with a shock weapon, forcing them back to work. Moray's jaw tightened. I didn't join the fleet to watch innocent people suffer, she said quietly. And I didn't come out here to hide in the shadows while tyrants build weapons of mass destruction. She turned to face her crew. We intervene. Hyunwoo, prepare all weapons systems. Jiwan, draft a message to the Talvari. Tell them to release the prisoners and cease all mining operations. Give them one chance to comply. And if they refuse? Jiwan asked. Then we show them why humans don't make idle threats, Myray said. Sound general quarters. All hands to battle stations. The alarm rang through the ship, a low pulse that echoed through every corridor. Crew members rushed to their positions, their training taking over. The Horizon's Edge had been built for this moment. It was a warship designed to operate alone, deep in enemy territory, with enough firepower to take on an entire fleet dot in the weapons bay. Ensign Dayan checked her systems one final time. She was the youngest member of the bridge crew, fresh out of the academy, but she had proven herself capable time and again. Her hands moved over the controls with practiced ease, arming the railguns and loading the missile tubes. Lieutenant Junho sat at the communication station, his fingers hovering over the broadcast controls. He had spent months learning the Talvari language, studying their culture and customs. Now he would be the first human to speak to them. All stations report ready, Captain, Jiwan announced. Myray took a deep breath. This was it. The moment that would change everything. Disengage stealth systems, she ordered. Let them see us. The Horizon's Edge shimmered into existence above Kelros 9, like a ghost materializing from thin air. The ship was massive, larger than any Talvari vessel, its hull covered in armor plating that absorbed sensor scans. On the surface below, alarms began to sound as the Talvari detected the impossible. A ship that had appeared from nowhere. Overseer, Kriltoth stared at his screens in disbelief. What is that? Where did it come from? His second-in-command frantically worked the controls. I don't know, Overseer. Our long-range scanners detected nothing. It's as if it simply appeared. Hail them, Kriltoth ordered. Demand identification. Before he could send the message, his communications panel lit up. Someone was broadcasting to them. The voice that came through was speaking perfect Talvari, which should have been impossible. No other species knew their language. Attention Talvari forces, Lieutenant Junho said calmly. This is the human warship Horizon's Edge. You are hereby ordered to release all prisoners immediately and cease mining operations. You have 30 minutes to comply. This is your only warning. Kriltoth's mandibles clicked in anger. Human? What is a human? I have never heard of such a species. He looked at the ship on his screen. One vessel against his 12 warships and thousands of soldiers. Ignore their demands, he ordered. Prepare to fire. Show these humans what happens when they challenge the Talvari Concordat. Above the moon, Captain Myray received the Talvari response. They were powering up their weapons. They've made their choice, she said quietly. Commence Operation Dawn. Disable their ships. No unnecessary casualties. Show them what precision looks like. Jiwan entered the commands. Engaging targets. All weapons free. The horizon's edge opened fire, and the galaxy would never be the same. The first railgun round left the era. Horizon's edge at a speed that made light seem slow. It was a solid tungsten projectile. No explosives, no fancy technology. Just mass and velocity turned into pure destructive force. The round punched through the shields of the nearest Talvari warship as if they did not exist at all. It tore through the engine compartment, destroying the power core and leaving the ship dead in space. The entire attack took 3 seconds. 11 more shots followed in rapid succession. Ensign Diane watched her targeting computer with focused intensity. Each shot had to be perfect. Captain Murray's orders were clear. Disable, not destroy. These were warning shots, a demonstration of power. The railguns fired with mechanical precision, each round finding its target. Engine sections exploded. Weapon systems went offline. Shield generators overloaded and burned out in 90 seconds. All 12 Talvari warships were floating helplessly in orbit. Their crews alive, but their ships completely disabled. On the surface of Kelros 9, Overseer Kriltov stared at his screens in horror. His entire fleet had been neutralized by a single enemy vessel. It was impossible. The Talvari Concordat had the most advanced military in the known galaxy. They had never been defeated so quickly, so completely. All ships report critical damage, his communications officer said, his voice shaking. No casualties, but every vessel is without power. They targeted our engines with surgical precision. Kriltov's mind raced. Who were these humans? Where had they come from? And more importantly, what did they want? His answer came seconds later. Attention Talvari ground forces. Lieutenant Junho's voice echoed across every communication channel. You have witnessed what our weapons can do to your ships. Do not make us demonstrate what they can do to your facility. Release the prisoners. Power down your weapons. You have 15 minutes. Kriltath wanted to refuse. Every instinct told him to fight, to show these aliens that the Talvari did not surrender. But he looked at his screens again, at the 12 disabled warships drifting in orbit. If the humans could do that to capital ships, what could they do to his ground forces? Overseer, what are your orders? His second-in-command asked. Before Kriltoth could answer, the sky above the facility lit up with streaks of light. Dozens of objects were descending through the thin atmosphere of Kelros 9. They were not weapons. They were drones, small flying machines that moved with impossible agility. The drones spread out across the facility, hovering above groups of Talvari soldiers. Then they activated. A pulse of electromagnetic energy washed over the mining facility. Every piece of Talvari technology shut down instantly. Weapons dropped from paralyzed hands. Armor locked up, leaving soldiers frozen in place. Even the mining equipment ground to a halt. The drones had released an EMP burst tuned specifically to Talvari technology. Not a single shot had been fired. Not a single Talvari had died. But the entire ground force was now helpless. Among the workers, a Vrel prisoner named Threnik watched in amazement. He had been a soldier once, before the Talvari captured him during a border raid. He had spent 8 months in this mine, watching his fellow prisoners die from exhaustion and abuse. He had given up hope of ever seeing his home again. Now their captors lay frozen, and strange machines hovered in the air above them. What is happening? Another prisoner whispered. Who are they? Threnik did not know, but he felt something he had not felt in months. Hope. The horizon's edge descended through the atmosphere, its massive bulk casting a shadow over the mining facility. The ship landed on a flat stretch of ground near the main complex. The rear hatch opened, and a squad of humans emerged, wearing combat armor. Captain Myray led the landing party. She walked forward with purpose, her boots crunching on the gray lunar dust. Behind her, Commander Jawan and a team of Marines spread out, securing the area. The frozen Talvari soldiers could only watch. Trapped in their locked armor, Mira approached Overseer Kriltoth, who stood frozen near the command center. She stopped a few feet away and looked up at the tall insectoid alien. Through her helmet's translation system, she spoke in Talvari. "I am Captain Mira of the Human Defense Fleet. Your operation here is over. You will release all prisoners into our custody. You will abandon this facility, and you will deliver a message to your leaders." Kriltoth could not move, but he could still speak through his armor's communication system. "You have no authority here, human. This sector belongs to the Talvari Concordat. You have committed an act of war." "No," Mira said calmly. "We have prevented one. The isotopes you are mining were meant for a weapon that would kill billions. We cannot allow that. We will not allow that. How do you know about Project Terminus?" Krildoth demanded. "That information is classified at the highest level." Mira smiled, though he could not see it through her helmet. "We have been watching you for a long time, Overseer. We know about your plans. We know about your war with the Vrel. We know everything." The revelation hit Kriltoth like a physical blow. These humans had been spying on the Concordat without anyone knowing. How long had they been out here? How much did they really know? Commander Jiwan approached with a datapad. "Captain, all prisoners are accounted for. 347 Vrel, all in poor condition. They need medical attention. Get them aboard the ship," Mira ordered. "Medical team is standing by." She turned back to Kriltoth. "Your soldiers will remain frozen for approximately 2 hours. That will give us time to evacuate the prisoners and leave this system. When you regain control of your armor, you will find your ship's engines have been completely destroyed. Not damaged, destroyed. It will take weeks for rescue to arrive." "You cannot do this," Kriltoth said, but his voice lacked conviction. These humans had already done the impossible. "We just did," Mira replied. "And here is the message you will deliver to your leaders. Tell them that this sector of space is now under human protection. Tell them that any attempt to build weapons of mass destruction will be met with immediate intervention. Tell them that the galaxy has changed and the age of unchecked warfare is over." She leaned closer. "And tell them that if they come looking for revenge, they will find us ready. We are not afraid of the Talvari Concordat. We are not afraid of anyone." Mira turned and walked back toward her ship. The landing party began guiding the freed prisoners toward the horizon's edge. Many of them were weak, barely able to walk. Human medics moved among them, offering water and medical supplies. Thrennic found himself being helped by a young human woman. She spoke to him in broken Vrel, clearly struggling with the language, but the effort was genuine. "Safe now," she said. "We help you." Thrennic felt tears in his eyes. He had forgotten what kindness felt like. "Why?" he managed to ask. "Why help us?" "You do not know us." The medic paused, thinking about how to express herself in his language. "Because it is right," she finally said. "No one deserves to be treated like you were." As the last prisoner boarded the ship, Lieutenant Junho sent out a final transmission. This one was not just to the Talvari on Kelros 9. This one was broadcast across all Talvari frequencies. A message that would reach every corner of their territory. "Attention Talvari Concordat. This is the human vessel Horizon's Edge. Today you learned that you are not alone in this sector of space. Humanity has been here, watching and learning, preparing for the day we would need to reveal ourselves. That day is today." Junho paused, letting the words sink in. "We have disabled your mining operation at Kelros 9 and freed your prisoners. We did this without killing a single one of your people. We could have destroyed your ships and your facility. We chose not to. Remember this mercy when you decide how to respond. The horizon's edge lifted off from the lunar surface, its engines glowing bright blue in the thin atmosphere. Inside, Captain Myray stood on the bridge, watching Kelros 9 shrink below them. "Set course for the rendezvous point," she ordered, "and send a priority message to Fleet Command. Tell them first contact has been made. Tell them the galaxy knows we exist now." "Message sent, Captain," Juno confirmed. "Fleet Command acknowledges. Admiral Kyungmin is already en route with the 7th Fleet." Myray nodded. The 7th Fleet was humanity's largest and most powerful battle group. If the Talvari wanted war, they would get one. But she hoped it would not come to that dot in the medical bay. Dr. Sora moved among the freed prisoners, treating injuries and malnutrition. She was a xenolinguist by training, but like all fleet personnel, she had medical training. The Vrel patients looked at her with a mixture of fear and wonder. Thrennic sat on a medical bed, sipping nutrient-rich water while a scanner passed over his body. Dr. Sora studied the results with concern. Broken bones that had healed incorrectly. Signs of severe malnutrition. Scars from shock weapons. "How long were you at that facility?" she asked through the translation device. 8 months, Thrennic replied. "Many did not survive that long. The Talvari worked us until we died." Dr. Sora felt anger rise in her chest, but she kept her expression professional. "You are safe now. We will make sure you all get proper medical treatment." "Why did you save us?" Thrennic asked. It was the same question many of the prisoners were asking. "We are nothing to you. You do not know our people." Dr. Sora sat down beside him. "In our culture, there is a saying, if you can do good, you must do good. We saw people suffering, and we had the power to stop it. That makes it our responsibility." Thrennic absorbed this idea. "Your people are strange. The Talvari would never risk themselves for another species. Neither would my own people, if I am honest." "Then maybe it is time for things to change," Dr. Sora said gently. On the bridge, Commander Jiwan was analyzing the data they had collected from the Talvari facility. The more she read, the more concerned she became. Project Terminus was even worse than they had thought. The weapon was designed to destabilize stars, causing them to go supernova. One device could destroy an entire solar system. "Captain," she said, bringing up the data on the main screen. "You need to see this." The Talvari were not just planning to use this weapon against the Vrel. According to these files, they have identified 20 target systems. If they had completed this project, they would have killed trillions. The bridge crew fell silent, staring at the data. The scope of the planned destruction was almost incomprehensible. How close were they to completion? Myray asked. Based on these records, they needed about 6 more months of mining to gather enough isotopes, Jiwan said. "We stopped them just in time." Myray looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Talvari leaders were receiving news of what happened at Kelros 9. They were learning that a new species had appeared, one with technology and moral conviction that threatened their plans for domination. "They will come for us," she said quietly. "They cannot let this stand." "Let them come," Ensign Dayon said from her weapons station. "We will be ready." The horizon's edge jumped to faster-than-light speed, leaving Kelros 9 behind. But the message Overseer Krilteth would send to his leaders was already traveling through space. Faster than any ship could fly, the Talvari Concordat would learn about humanity. The Vrel Dominion would learn about humanity. Every species in the galaxy would soon know that something had changed, that a new power had emerged from the void, and in the halls of power across the galaxy, leaders would ask the same questions. Who were these humans? Where had they come from? And most importantly, what did they want? The age of secrets was over. Humanity had stepped into the light, and the galaxy would never be the same. News traveled fast in the galaxy, especially when it was news of war. Within 3 days of the Kelros 9 incident, every major power had received reports about the mysterious humans who had appeared from nowhere and disabled an entire Talvari military operation without firing a single lethal shot. On the Talvari homeworld, High Matriarch Zelvara convened an emergency session of the War Council. The chamber was massive, carved from black stone that absorbed light and sound. Hundreds of Talvari military leaders and government officials filled the seats, their chittering voices creating a sound like rain on metal. Zelvara stood at the center of the chamber, her aged body still commanding respect despite her years. She had led the Concordat through decades of conflict with the Vrel. She had overseen the expansion of Talvari territory across dozens of star systems. She had never known defeat. Until now. Show them the footage again, she commanded. The holographic display activated, showing the brief battle at Kelros 9. The council watched in silence as the human ship appeared from nothing, disabled 12 warships in less than 2 minutes, and then paralyzed an entire ground force without casualties. The technical analysts had studied this footage hundreds of times, and their conclusions were always the same. The human vessel used kinetic weapons traveling at relativistic speeds. The chief military analyst explained, "Our shields are designed to disperse energy weapons. Against solid projectiles moving that fast, they are useless. The precision of their targeting suggests computer-assisted firing systems far beyond our current capabilities." "And the electromagnetic pulse that disabled our ground forces?" another council member asked. "Tuned specifically to our technology," the analyst replied. "This suggests they have been studying us for an extended period. They know our systems, our weaknesses, our capabilities. They planned this intervention carefully." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The idea that an unknown species had been observing them without detection was disturbing. How long had the humans been watching? What else did they know? "We must respond with force," General Kreltak declared, rising from his seat. "This act of aggression cannot stand. We must mobilize the entire fleet and hunt down these humans. Destroy them before they become a greater threat." Several council members voiced their agreement, but Zelvara raised her hand for silence. "And where would you find them, General? We do not know the location of their homeworld. We do not know how many ships they have. We do not even know how many humans exist. Would you have us send our fleets blindly into space, hoping to stumble upon an enemy who has proven they can hide from our sensors?" Kreltak sat down, mandibles clicking in frustration. The matriarch was right, of course. They knew nothing about this enemy. "What do the humans want?" Zelvara asked, addressing the council. "They freed our prisoners. They disabled our ships without destroying them. They could have killed everyone at Kelros 9, but they chose not to. Why? They claimed to be preventing Project Terminus," an intelligence officer reported. "According to Overseer Kriltoth's testimony, the humans knew about our weapon development program. They stated that they would not allow weapons of mass destruction in this sector. How could they know about Project Terminus?" Someone demanded. "That program is classified at the highest level." The intelligence officer looked uncomfortable. "The evidence suggests they have been monitoring our communications for some time. Possibly years." The chamber erupted in angry voices. The Talvari prided themselves on their security and military discipline. Learning that an unknown species had been spying on them was humiliating. Meanwhile, in the Vrel Dominion, a very different conversation was taking place. Dominarch Vren sat in his private chambers, watching the same footage from Kelros 9. Unlike the Talvari, he saw opportunity. His advisor, a younger Vrel named Shen, stood nearby. "The rescued prisoners are being treated aboard human medical facilities. Initial reports suggest the humans are providing excellent care. They have asked for nothing in return. Interesting, Vren mused. They risked exposing themselves to save our people. That suggests either great compassion or great naivety. Perhaps both. Should we make contact? Shen asked. Carefully, Vren replied. Send a diplomatic envoy. A small ship, no weapons. Offer our thanks for rescuing our citizens. Feel out their intentions. If these humans are enemies of the Tal'Vari, they could become valuable allies. And if they refuse to meet with us? Vren smiled. Then we will know they value their isolation more than potential friendship. But I think they will meet with us. They did not reveal themselves to the galaxy just to hide again. On the horizon's edge, Dr. Sora had spent 3 days working with the freed Vrel prisoners. She had learned enough of their language to communicate basic ideas. And what she learned was troubling. She found Captain Myray in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. Captain, we need to talk about what the prisoners have told me, Dr. Sora said. Myray turned. What have you learned? The war between the Tal'Vari and Vrel is not what we thought. It is not just two powers fighting over territory. There are dozens of smaller species caught between them. Some have been enslaved, like the Vrel we rescued. Others have been wiped out completely when they refused to choose a side. Dr. Sora pulled up a star map on her datapad. According to Thrennic, at least 7 species have gone extinct in the last 50 years because they occupied territory that either the Tal'Vari or Vrel wanted. The survivors are scattered, afraid to organize because it would make them targets. Myray studied the map. Red markers indicated extinct species. Yellow markers showed enslaved populations. The scale of suffering was staggering. This is not just about stopping one weapon, Dr. Sora continued. This is about a galactic order built on conquest and exploitation. We have stepped into something much larger than we realized. Before Myray could respond, Lieutenant Junho's voice came over the intercom. Captain to the bridge. We have an incoming vessel requesting communication. Myray and Dr. Sora rushed to the bridge. On the view screen, a small ship approached. It was clearly not military, and its transponder identified it as Vrel in origin. They are hailing us, Captain, Junho reported. Audio only. They say they come in peace and wish to speak with whoever commands our vessel. Put them through, Myray ordered. A voice spoke in accented but understandable human language. The Vrel had clearly been studying human transmissions. Human vessel Horizon's Edge. I am Envoy Shen of the Vrel Dominion. I have been sent by Dominarch Vren to offer our people's gratitude for rescuing our citizens. We request permission to meet face-to-face, if you are willing. Myray looked at Commander Jiwan, who nodded slightly. This was an opportunity they could not ignore. Permission granted, Envoy Shen. You may dock at our port airlock. Come alone and unarmed. Understood. Thank you for your consideration. 20 minutes later, Shen stood in the Horizon's Edge conference room. He was smaller than the Vrel prisoners they had rescued, with lighter-colored skin and fewer scars. He wore diplomatic robes that marked his status. Captain Myray sat across from him, with Commander Jiwan and Dr. Sora on either side. The room was simple, functional, designed for military briefings rather than diplomatic meetings. But it would serve. On behalf of the Vrel Dominion, I thank you for rescuing our people, Shen began. We had assumed them lost. Your actions have saved hundreds of lives. We did what was necessary, Myray replied. No one deserves to be treated as slaves. The Tal'Vari do not see it that way, Shen said carefully. To them, conquered people are resources to be used. They have no concept of mercy or compassion. You have made a powerful enemy today. We did not seek conflict with the Tal'Vari, Myray said. But we could not stand by while they built a weapon that would kill billions. Project Terminus would have destroyed entire solar systems. Shen's expression darkened. We knew they were developing something terrible, but we did not know the scale. If you had not intervened, double quotes, he did not finish the sentence. Why are you really here, Envoy? Jiwan asked. Gratitude alone does not explain sending a diplomatic mission so quickly. Shen appreciated the directness. You are correct, Commander. I am here because the Dominarch wishes to understand your intentions. You have revealed yourselves to the galaxy in a dramatic fashion. You have demonstrated military capability far beyond anything we possess. Now everyone wants to know, what do the humans want? Peace, Myray said simply. We want to build our colonies, explore space, and live without fear of being caught in someone else's war. A noble goal, Shen said, but naive, if you will forgive my bluntness. The Talvari will not forgive this insult. They will come for you, and when they do, you will need allies. Are you offering an alliance? Dr. Sora asked. I am offering information, Shen replied. The Vrel Dominion has fought the Talvari for over a century. We know their strategies, their weaknesses, their military capabilities. This knowledge could be valuable to you. In exchange for what? Myray asked. Survival, Shen said quietly. If the Talvari unite their forces against you, you will need more than one ship and clever tactics. You will need allies who understand the enemy. Myray considered this. The envoy was right. Humanity could not face the entire Talvari Concordat alone, no matter how advanced their technology was. I will pass your offer to my superiors, she said. But understand this. Humanity will not be drawn into your war with the Talvari. We seek peace, not conquest. Sometimes peace must be won through strength, Shen replied. You have already learned this lesson at Kelros 9. Before Myray could respond, an urgent alert flashed on G1's console. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting multiple ships entering the system. Reading Talvari signatures. A lot of them. The view screen activated, showing dozens of red markers appearing at the edge of sensor range. The Talvari had responded faster than expected. It seems we are out of time for philosophical discussions, Shen said, rising from his seat. You should know that Vrel forces are also en route to this location. News of your intervention has spread quickly. Everyone wants to see these mysterious humans for themselves. How many ships are we talking about? Myray asked G1. Talvari fleet consists of 43 warships, including 3 battleships. Vrel fleet is smaller, 27 ships. Both fleets are maintaining distance from each other, but converging on our position. Murray's mind raced. 70 ships, 2 hostile fleets, and the horizon's edge caught in the middle. This was rapidly spiraling out of control. Contact Fleet Command, she ordered Junho. Tell Admiral Kyung-min we need the 7th Fleet here now, and broadcast a message on all frequencies. Tell both the Talvari and Vrel to hold position. No one fires unless fired upon. Message sent, Captain, Junho confirmed. Fleet Command responds that Admiral Kyung-min is 3 hours away. 3 hours. They had to maintain peace for 3 hours while 2 enemy fleets circled each other, each wondering if the humans would choose a side. Shen moved toward the door. I should return to my ship before hostilities begin. But before I go, a word of advice. The Talvari respect strength above all else. Show weakness, and they will attack without hesitation. Show too much aggression, and they will unite the entire Concordat against you. And what should we show? Dr. Sora asked. Shen paused at the door. Show them exactly what you showed us at Kelros 9. Show them that humanity is powerful enough to defend itself, but wise enough to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Show them that you are something new, something the galaxy has never seen before. He left, leaving the command crew alone with an impossible situation. Two fleets preparing for possible battle, and humanity's first real test on the galactic stage about to begin. Captain Mireille stood up, her expression calm despite the chaos brewing around them. All hands to battle stations. Power up all defensive systems, but do not activate weapons. We are going to sit right here in the middle of both fleets and dare either side to start a fight. That is incredibly risky, Captain, Jiwan said. Mireille smiled grimly. Everything about this situation is risky, Commander. But if we run, they will chase us. If we choose a side, we start a war. Our only option is to hold the line and wait for reinforcements. On the view screen, the Talvari and Vrel fleets continued their slow approach, circling the human ship like predators, deciding whether to attack or retreat. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what these mysterious humans would do next. The tension in space was thick enough to feel. Two massive fleets faced each other across the void, with the solitary human warship Horizon's Edge positioned directly between them. For 2 hours, no one had moved. No one had fired. But everyone was waiting. On the bridge, Captain Mireille watched the tactical display with practiced calm. Every instinct told her this situation could explode into violence at any moment. One nervous gunner, one misinterpreted sensor reading, and 70 warships would tear each other apart. Status on the 7th Fleet? She asked. Admiral Kyungmin reports 40 minutes until arrival, Lieutenant Jono replied. She asks if you can maintain the standoff until then. We will have to, Mireille said. She opened a channel to both fleets. This is Captain Mireille of the human vessel Horizon's Edge. I am formally requesting that both Talvari and Vrel forces maintain their current positions. Admiral Kyungmin of the Human Defense Fleet is en route to establish formal diplomatic contact. Any hostile action before her arrival will be considered an act of war against humanity. The response from the Talvari came first. This is Fleet Commander Tarvik of the Talvari Concordat. You have committed acts of aggression against our people and destroyed military assets. We demand you surrender your vessel immediately for trial. Before Mireille could respond, the Vrel channel activated. This is Admiral Wren of the Vrel Dominion. The humans have acted only to free innocent prisoners and prevent a weapon of mass destruction. We stand ready to defend them from Talvari aggression. Stand down, Vrel cowards, Tarvik snarled. This matter does not concern you. Everything the Talvari do concerns us, Wren shot back. Your plans for genocide affect every species in this sector. The argument between the two alien commanders escalated, their voices overlapping in angry exchanges. Mireille muted both channels and turned to Commander Jiwan. This is exactly what we were afraid of, Jiwan said. We have become the spark that could ignite their war. Then we need to be the water that puts out the fire, Mireille replied. She unmuted the channels. Commanders, this hostility serves no purpose. One propose a formal meeting aboard a neutral location to discuss the situation calmly. There can be no negotiation with thieves and aggressors. Tarvik declared. There can be no peace with slavers and warmongers. Wren countered. Mireille closed her eyes for a moment, gathering her patience. Dealing with two alien species who hated each other was like trying to referee a fight between angry children. Except these children had weapons that could destroy planets. The tactical display suddenly lit up with new contacts. 40 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, surrounding both alien fleets. The 7th Fleet had arrived early. The lead ship was enormous, twice the size of any other vessel present. The Meridian was not just a warship. It was a mobile diplomatic station, designed specifically for situations like this. Admiral Kyungmin had apparently decided that humanity needed to make a statement. All vessels. This is Admiral Kyungmin of the Human 7th Fleet. I am invoking first contact protocols under the authority of the United Earth Government. All ships will power down weapons immediately and prepare to send diplomatic representatives to the Meridian for formal negotiations. Any vessel that fails to comply will be disabled. This is not a request. The Admiral's voice carried absolute authority. More importantly, the sudden appearance of 40 human warships had changed the tactical situation completely. The Tal'Vare and Vrel were no longer facing one mysterious ship. They were surrounded by a fleet that had appeared from nowhere and could probably destroy both of them combined. Slowly, weapon systems began powering down. First the Vrel, then grudgingly, the Tal'Vare. 6 hours later, the conference chamber aboard the Meridian was filled with representatives from 3 species. The room had been designed to accommodate different body types and environmental needs. The Tal'Vare delegation sat in one section, their tall insectoid forms radiating hostility. The Vrel occupied another area, smaller and more cautious. And in the center, the human delegation waited. Admiral Kyung-min was a woman in her 60s, her gray hair cut short in military fashion. She had spent 40 years in the fleet, most of it dealing with conflicts and border disputes. But those had all been human problems. This was different. Beside her sat Ambassador Yuna, humanity's chief diplomat for first contact scenarios. She was younger than the Admiral, but her eyes held a sharp intelligence that missed nothing. Captain Myray sat to her right, representing the ship that had started everything. Commander Jiwan and Dr. Sora completed the human delegation. The Tal'Vare were represented by High Matriarch Zelvara herself, along with several military advisors. The Vrel had sent Dominarch Vren, accompanied by his own counselors. "Thank you all for coming," Ambassador Yuna began, speaking through translation devices that converted her words into both alien languages. "We are here because 3 days ago, humanity revealed itself to the galaxy in a way none of us expected. What happens next will shape the future of this entire sector of space." "What happens next is simple," Zelvara said, her voice carrying the authority of decades of rule. "The humans will withdraw from all contested space, surrender the stolen Vrel prisoners, and pay reparations for the destruction of our ships. Then perhaps we will not hunt you to extinction." "Brave words from someone surrounded by human warships," Dominarch Vren observed dryly. "Perhaps the Tal'Vare should consider that their time of dominance is over." "Choose your next words carefully, Vren," Zelvara warned. "Or when we finish with the humans, we will finally end your pathetic dominion." "Enough," Admiral Kyungmin said, her voice cutting through the argument like a blade. "You will both sit down and listen, or I will have you escorted back to your ships and continue this discussion without you." The bluntness shocked both alien leaders. In their cultures, diplomacy involved elaborate protocols and careful wording. The Admiral's direct approach was unprecedented. Zelvara's mandibles clicked in what might have been either amusement or irritation. "You threaten us in our own space, human. You have much confidence for a species we just learned exists." "It is not confidence," Kyungmin replied. "It is fact. You both know that your fleets cannot stand against ours. You have seen the evidence at Kelros 9. We have technology you do not understand and cannot counter. But that is not why we are here." She stood, walking to a holographic display in the center of the room. With a gesture, she activated it. The display showed star maps, tactical analyses, and most damning of all, detailed plans for Project Terminus. "We are here because the Tal'Vare were building a weapon that would have killed billions. Not just Vrel, but innocent species caught in the crossfire. Humanity could not allow that to happen." "How did you obtain those files?" Zelvara demanded. "They are classified beyond any security level." "We have been observing you for 30 years, Ambassador Yuna said calmly. "We learned your languages, studied your cultures, monitored your communications. We know about every border skirmish, every broken treaty, every atrocity committed by both sides in this pointless war. She activated another display, showing footage of massacres. Enslaved populations and extinct species. 7 intelligent species have been completely destroyed in the last 50 years because they were caught between your conflict. Hundreds of billions dead. And for what? Territory? Resources? Pride? The room fell silent. Both alien delegations looked uncomfortable as their actions were laid bare before them. We did not come here to judge you, Yuna continued. We came to offer something better. A way forward that does not end in mutual destruction. And what would that be? Vren asked, genuinely curious now. Peace, Yuna said simply. Real peace, not just another temporary ceasefire. We propose the formation of the Helian Council, a governing body that includes representatives from humanity, the Talvari Concordat, the Vrel Dominion, and any other species that wishes to join. This council would have the authority to mediate disputes, enforce peaceful resolutions, and protect developing species from exploitation. Impossible, Zelvara said immediately. The Talvari Concordat will never submit to external authority. Then the Concordat will find itself increasingly isolated, Admiral Kyungmin said, because humanity is offering our technology and protection to any species that agrees to peaceful coexistence. Your choice is simple. Join the new order or watch as everyone else leaves you behind. It was a bold gambit, essentially threatening the Talvari with obsolescence. But Yuna could see the calculation happening behind Zelvara's eyes. The High Matriarch had not maintained power for decades by being inflexible. What about our current conflicts? Vren asked. The Talvari control systems that belong to the Vrel. Will your council force them to return what they have stolen? The council will establish fair borders based on historical claims and current populations, Yuna explained. Systems will be assigned through negotiation, not conquest. And any species found enslaving another will face immediate sanctions, possibly military intervention. You would attack us for following our traditional practices? Zelvara asked. Slavery is not a tradition we will tolerate, Ambassador Yuna said firmly. This is not negotiable. Any species that joins the Helian Council must agree to treat all intelligent life with basic dignity. The negotiations continued for hours, with both sides raising objections and concerns. But slowly, grudgingly, progress was made. The Talvari agreed to release all enslaved populations in exchange for trade agreements and access to some human technology. The Vrel agreed to withdraw from certain disputed systems in exchange for guaranteed borders and protection. It was not perfect. Many issues remained unresolved. But it was a start. Commander Suyun, who had been standing guard outside the conference chamber, suddenly received an urgent message on his comm device. He quickly entered the room and whispered something to Admiral Kyungmin. The Admiral's expression darkened. She stood, interrupting the current discussion. We have a situation. My security team has uncovered evidence of a sabotage plot. Explosive devices were found in 3 locations aboard this ship, set to detonate during these negotiations. The room erupted in accusations. The Vrel blamed the Talvari. The Talvari blamed the Vrel. Everyone blamed someone else. The devices were disabled before activation, Kyungmin continued, and we have identified the saboteurs. They were not Vrel or human. She looked directly at Zelvara. They were Talvari hardliners from your own delegation. The High Matriarch's expression was unreadable. Impossible. All of my people were carefully selected. Yet the evidence is clear, Commander Suyun said, displaying security footage. It showed 2 Talvari technicians placing devices throughout the ship. These individuals were part of your engineering support staff. One of Zelvara's military advisors suddenly stood. This is a human trick. They fabricated this evidence to make us look guilty. But another voice spoke up, quiet but clear. It was Talvek, a young Talvari officer who had been serving as a junior aide. No, it is not a trick. I helped disable the devices because I knew about the plot. Every Talvari in the room turned to stare at him. Talvek stood tall, despite the weight of their gazes. I am a soldier of the Concordat. I have served with honor for 15 years. But what we were planning here was not honorable. It was murder, plain and simple. These humans offer us a chance at real peace. And some of our people would rather kill everyone than admit we might be wrong. You are a traitor, the advisor hissed. I am a soldier who remembers what we are supposed to protect, Talvek replied. Somewhere along the way, we forgot that strength is not just about domination. These humans defeated us at Kelros 9, but they did not kill a single one of us. That is true strength. That is what honor looks like. High Matriarch Zelvara was silent for a long moment. Then she did something none of her people expected. She bowed her head slightly toward Admiral Kyungmin. I apologize for this attempt on your lives. These individuals acted without my knowledge or consent. They will be dealt with according to our laws. She looked at Talvek. You have shown great courage today, young officer. Courage that many of your elders have forgotten. Perhaps there is hope for our people yet. Ambassador Yuna seized the moment. This incident demonstrates exactly why we need the Helian Council. If we do not establish a new way of resolving conflicts, extremists on all sides will drag us back into war. The choice is yours, peace or continued bloodshed. But choose quickly. History will not wait. In the end, it was not the threat of human military power that convinced them. It was the realization that their old way of thinking had nearly gotten everyone in that room killed. The galaxy was changing, and they could change with it or be left behind. The Kelros Accords were signed 3 days later. It was not a perfect document. There were compromises that satisfied no one completely. But it was a beginning, a framework for peace that had never existed before. As the delegations prepared to depart, Dominarch Vren approached Captain Myray privately. You realize this peace is fragile, don't you? It could shatter at any moment. All peace is fragile, Myray replied. That is why it must be protected constantly. But I would rather guard a fragile peace than fight an endless war. Vren nodded slowly. You humans are an interesting species. Powerful but restrained. Idealistic but practical. I look forward to learning more about you. And we about you? Myray said as the various fleets departed, heading back to their respective territories. The crew of the Horizon's Edge finally allowed themselves to relax. They had done the impossible. They had prevented a war, freed enslaved people, and established the foundation for galactic peace. But as Commander G1 studied the long-range sensor data, she noticed something troubling. There were anomalies in the deep space readings, signatures that did not match any known species. She decided to file a report, but not mention it yet. They had earned a moment of victory. The next crisis could wait until tomorrow. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had proven itself worthy of a place among the stars. 3 months had passed since the signing of the Kelros Accords, and the galaxy looked very different. Human technology flowed into Talvari and Vrel space through carefully monitored trade agreements. In return, humanity gained access to resources and territory for their expanding colonies. Most importantly, the enslaved populations were being freed. It was slow work, complicated by decades of entrenched systems. But progress was happening. Captain Myray, now promoted to Commodore, stood on the bridge of the Horizon's Edge and watched a joint training exercise through the viewscreen. 3 human frigates flew in formation, with 2 Talvari cruisers and a Vrel destroyer. 6 months ago, such a sight would have been impossible. Now it was becoming routine. The Talvari pilots are improving, Commander Jiwan observed from her station. She had also received a promotion, now serving as Mireille's executive officer. Their formation discipline is excellent. They are fast learners, Mireille agreed. Once they accepted that cooperation benefits everyone, they adapted quickly. Lieutenant Dayan, now commanding her own frigate in the Joint Fleet, led the human formation through a complex tactical maneuver. Her voice came through the communication channel, crisp and professional, as she coordinated with her alien counterparts. The language barriers had been the first challenge to overcome, but translation technology and simple patience had solved most problems. On the planet below, the Helian Academy was training the first class of multi-species officers. Human, Talvari, and Vrel students studied together, learning each other's tactics and strategies. It was awkward at first. Centuries of hatred did not disappear overnight. But the young were more adaptable than their elders, and friendships were forming across species lines. Dr. Sora ran the Xenocultural Institute attached to the Academy. Her team worked to document the languages, customs, and histories of every species they encountered. The work was endless, but rewarding. She had discovered that despite their differences, most species shared common values, the desire to protect their families, to build better lives, to find meaning in existence. Talvek, the young Talvari officer who had helped stop the sabotage plot, now served as an instructor at the Academy. He taught tactical operations to mixed classes of cadets, many of whom had never seen an alien before arriving here. His presence was controversial among some Talvari traditionalists, but he had earned respect through competence and integrity. The Helian Council met regularly, mediating disputes and establishing guidelines for peaceful interaction. It was messy, bureaucratic, and sometimes frustratingly slow. But it worked. Small conflicts were resolved before they could become wars. Borders were negotiated instead of fought over. The galaxy was learning a new way. High Matriarch Zelvara had surprised everyone by becoming one of the Council's strongest supporters. She had recognized that the Talvari Concordat could gain more through cooperation than conquest. Her people were proud and militaristic, but they were also pragmatic. Human technology gave them advantages they had never possessed before, and all it cost was agreeing to treat other species as equals rather than resources. Dominarch Vren had been more cautious, but even he had come to see the benefits. The Vrel economy was growing as trade replaced warfare. Their people were no longer living in constant fear of Talvari aggression. The price of peace, he had discovered, was much lower than the cost of war, but not everyone was happy with the new order. On a remote station at the edge of Talvari space, a group of military officers gathered in secret. They wore no insignia, and their meeting was not recorded in any official log. These were the hardliners, those who believed the old ways were best. "The matriarch has grown weak," one of them said. "She bows to humans and makes peace with our enemies. She has forgotten what it means to be Talvari. What can we do?" Another asked, "The humans have superior technology. Their fleet could crush any resistance we mount." "Then we do not fight them openly," the first speaker replied. "We wait. We watch. And when the opportunity comes, we remind the galaxy that the Talvari Concordat is not to be underestimated." Similar conversations were happening in Vrel space, and even in human colonies. Peace had many supporters, but also many enemies. Change always did. Commander Jiwan had been monitoring deep space sensors for weeks, tracking the anomalies she had first detected after the signing of the Accords. The data was inconsistent, appearing and disappearing without pattern. At first, she thought it might be sensor malfunctions or natural phenomena. But the more she studied the readings, the more convinced she became that something was out there. Something that did not match any known species. She finally brought her concerns to Commodore Myray in private. "I know this sounds paranoid," Jiwan said, displaying her data, "but look at these patterns. Unknown energy signatures appearing in deep space, always at the edge of sensor range. They appear for a few seconds, then vanish. It has been happening with increasing frequency." Myray studied the data carefully. Could they be natural? Dark matter fluctuations or something similar? "I considered that," Jiwan replied. "But natural phenomena do not follow patterns. These readings appear in specific locations, almost as if something is scanning our space. And they are getting closer." "Have you shared this with the Council?" "Not yet. I wanted to gather more evidence first. But yesterday, one of our deep space monitoring stations detected something more substantial. A brief visual contact before whatever it was jumped away. I am sending you the image now." The view screen displayed a grainy image captured at extreme range. It showed a ship, but not like any ship they had encountered before. The design was alien in the truest sense, organic curves mixed with geometric precision. It was massive, easily twice the size of the Meridian. "Did the station get any other data?" Myray asked, her expression serious now. "Some. The energy signature does not match Talvari, Vrel, or human technology. The hull composition is unknown, and it appeared inside our sensor perimeter without triggering any alarms, which should be impossible." Myray was silent for a moment, thinking. "Send this data to Admiral Kyungmin immediately. Classified eyes only. If there is another species out there, one we do not know about, we need to be prepared." But events moved faster than they anticipated. 2 days later, every deep space sensor in the Helion sector lit up simultaneously. Ships were entering the galaxy from dark space, a region so far from any star that it had been considered uninhabitable. The sensors counted them. 40, 60, 100 contacts. They kept coming. Admiral Kyungmin convened an emergency meeting of the Helion Council aboard the Meridian. High Matriarch Zelvara arrived within hours. Dominarch Wren was already there, his expression grave. Representatives from 6 smaller species filled out the council chamber. "Show them what we are seeing," Kyungmin ordered. The holographic display activated, showing the edge of known space. A massive fleet was approaching, unlike anything any of them had encountered before. The ships moved in perfect coordination, their formation suggesting military discipline and purpose. "Have they responded to any of our hails?" Ambassador Yuna asked. "No," the communications officer replied. "We have broadcast greetings in every known language, including mathematical sequences and simple pictographic messages." No response. "What do we know about them?" Zelvara asked. "Very little," Commander Jiwan reported. She had been brought into the meeting as the person who had first tracked the anomalies. "Their technology is advanced, possibly more so than our own. They appear capable of traveling through dark space, which we believed impossible. And they have been observing us for at least 3 months, possibly longer." "Observing us?" Vren said. "The way humans observed us before revealing themselves?" "Possibly," Jiwan acknowledged. "But their approach is different. Humans studied cultures and made careful plans before intervening. This fleet is approaching with clear military intent." The room fell silent as the implication sank in. They had been so focused on their own conflicts and the process of building peace that they had forgotten the galaxy was vast. There might be other species out there, older and more powerful than any of them. How long until they reach our space? Myray asked. "At their current speed, approximately 72 hours, Jiwan replied. "Then we have 3 days to decide how to respond," Kyungmin said. "Suggestions?" "We should prepare for war, a Talvari military advisor said immediately. Assemble every ship we have. Show them we are not weak. Or we could try diplomacy, a Vrel counselor suggested. Perhaps they are simply curious, like humans were. They are not curious, Zelvara said, studying the display. I have commanded fleets for decades. That formation is not exploratory. It is invasive. They are coming to conquer, not to talk. We do not know that for certain, Ambassador Yuna argued. We must at least try communication before assuming hostility. The debate continued, voices rising as fear and uncertainty took hold. They had just started building peace between their own species. Now they faced a threat none of them understood. Commodore Myray stood, and the room gradually fell silent. We do not have the luxury of fear, she said. 3 months ago, you were enemies preparing to destroy each other. Then humans appeared and showed you there was another way. Now something else has appeared, and we must show them that we have learned our lesson. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of representatives from 3 different species. We face this together, not as humans, Talvari, or Vrel, as the Galactic Coalition. We assemble every ship we have. We form a unified fleet, and we meet them at the border as one people. And if they attack? Someone asked. Then we defend ourselves, Myray said simply. But we give them every chance to choose peace first. That is what separates us from conquerors. We offer the hand of friendship before the fist of war. Ambassador Yuna smiled. It was exactly the right message. The Commodore is correct. We have spent 3 months learning to trust each other. Now we put that trust to the ultimate test. The vote was not unanimous, but it did not need to be. The Helian Council authorized the formation of a combined fleet. Human warships would fly alongside former enemies, presenting a united front to whatever was coming. The next 72 hours were chaotic. Ships from across the sector converged on the border, forming up into the largest combined fleet ever assembled. Human frigates took positions next to Talvari battleships. Vrel destroyers coordinated with vessels from half a dozen smaller species. The communication channels were constantly busy as different crews learned to work together on the fly. Talvek found himself assigned to the horizon's edge, serving as liaison between the Talvari contingent and Commodore Murray's command staff. He stood on the bridge, watching the fleet assemble, and felt something he had never expected to feel: hope. Impressive, is it not? Dr. Sora said, joining him at the observation window. She had also been assigned to the flagship, ready to assist with any first contact scenarios. I spent years training to fight against some of the species now fighting beside us, Talvek said. It is strange how quickly everything can change. Not everything has changed, Dr. Sora replied. We are still who we were. We just finally decided to be better. The unknown fleet reached the border exactly when predicted. The Galactic Coalition fleet was waiting for them, over 300 ships arranged in defensive formation. It was not aggressive, but it was unmistakably ready for battle. Commodore Myray stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, which had been designated as the fleet's command ship. Admiral Kyungmin stood beside her, with representatives from the Talvari and Vrel at their stations. It was symbolic as much as practical. Unity in command, unity in purpose. They are holding position, Commander Jiwan reported. No weapons charging, but no response to our hails either. Keep trying, Myray ordered. Broadcast on all frequencies. Show them we want to talk. Minutes passed. The 2 fleets faced each other across the void, neither moving. The tension was unbearable. Then, finally, a response came through. It was not audio. It was not visual. It was pure data, mathematical sequences that translated into concepts rather than words. The message was complex, but its meaning was clear. They are asking who we are, Lieutenant Juno said, his voice filled with wonder. Not what species. Who? They want to know what kind of civilization we are. Ambassador Yuna stepped forward. Then we tell them. Broadcast the story of the Helios Accords. Show them how we went from enemies to allies. Show them what we have built together. The message was sent, a compressed data packet containing images, recordings, and testimonies from all species. It told the story of Kelros 9, of the negotiations aboard the Meridian, of the slow building of trust between former enemies. The response came quicker this time. Another data stream, this one containing images and information about the unknown fleet. They called themselves the Keepers, an ancient species that had retreated to dark space millennia ago. They had watched younger species rise and fall, always observing, never interfering. Until now, the Keepers had detected the sudden appearance of advanced technology in this sector, the rapid formation of a coalition government, and most concerning, evidence of weapons development that threatened the stability of the region. They had come to investigate whether this new civilization was a threat or an opportunity. They are testing us, Zelvara said, reading the data. They want to see if we are mature enough to be trusted with advanced technology. Then we show them we are, Vren said. Another message was composed, this one more personal. It was signed by every member of the Helian Council, every ship captain in the combined fleet. It acknowledged the mistakes of the past, the wars and conflicts that had devastated the region. But it also spoke of hope, of change, of the decision to choose cooperation over conquest. The message ended with an invitation. We are the Galactic Coalition. We stand together. Come, speak with us. Learn about us as we wish to learn about you. The galaxy is vast, and we are all travelers through it. Let us travel together. The Keeper's fleet remained motionless for long minutes. Then, slowly, a single ship detached from their formation and approached. It was a diplomatic vessel, coming to meet with the coalition leadership. Aboard the Meridian, preparations began for the most important first contact in galactic history. But this time, it was different. This time, humanity was not alone. They stood with allies, with friends who had once been enemies. They represented not one species but dozens, united by choice rather than conquest. Commodore Myray stood in the observation deck, watching the Keeper ship approach. Commander Jiwan joined her, and together they watched history unfold. We did it, Jiwan said quietly. We actually did it. No, Myray replied. We started it. Building true peace, earning the respect of ancient species, showing the galaxy what cooperation can achieve. That is work that will take generations. But we have proven it is possible. She turned to face her friend and second in command. When the horizon's edge emerged from the void above Kelros 9, we thought we were alone. We thought we were the only ones who could stop what was coming. We were wrong. We were never alone. We just had to help others see that unity was strength. And now? Jiwan asked. Myray looked back at the view screen, at the hundreds of ships from dozens of species, all waiting together to meet whatever came next. Now we face the future together, all of us, because that is what civilization means. Not one species dominating others, but all species lifting each other up. The Keeper ship docked with the Meridian, and representatives from the oldest known civilization in the galaxy stepped through the airlock to meet with the youngest. They found not a collection of warring primitives, but a coalition that had learned to overcome its differences. The meeting that followed would become legendary. But perhaps more important than what was said was what was witnessed. The Keepers saw humans working alongside former enemies. They saw Talvari officers taking orders from Vrel commanders. They saw dozens of species who had every reason to hate each other instead, choosing to stand together, and they were impressed. The galaxy was changing. Old orders were falling away, replaced by something new. something better. There would be challenges ahead, conflicts and struggles that would test the coalition's resolve. But they had proven they could face those challenges together. As the delegations talked and the fleets maintained their positions, a message was broadcast to every ship, every station, every colony in coalition space. It was simple, only a few words, but it carried the weight of profound truth. We thought we were alone. We were wrong. We stand together, and we will not yield. The stars watched as the galaxy took its first steps toward something unprecedented. Not a galactic empire built on conquest, but a true coalition built on cooperation. The age of endless warfare was not over, not yet. But for the first time in millennia, there was hope that it might be, and it had all started when a human warship emerged from the void and showed the galaxy that there was another way. Horizon's Edge would fly for many years to come, its name becoming synonymous with the moment everything changed. Captain Myray, who had made the hard choice to intervene when others would have hidden, would be remembered across species lines as the one who sparked this revolution. But she would always say that she was not special. She was simply someone who saw suffering and chose to act. Someone who saw enemies and chose to make them allies. Someone who looked at an impossible situation and decided to make it possible. In the end, that was what humanity brought to the galaxy. Not just advanced technology or military might, but the stubborn, foolish, beautiful belief that things could be better. That peace was worth fighting for. That every species, no matter how different, deserved dignity and respect. The galaxy had been waiting for someone to show them another way. They had just been waiting for humans to emerge from the void and light the path forward. And now, together, they would walk that path into an uncertain but hopeful future.